She loved him in silence, not because she was afraid to speak, but because she thought quiet love was safer. Every smile had a confession. Every laugh masked a breaking heart. And by the time she found the courage to choose herself, it was already too late. This is Emma's story of loving quietly, losing deeply, and finding herself. Emma wasn't loud. She wasn't the kind of woman who demanded attention or filled every room she entered. She was gentle, observant, the type who felt deeply but spoke carefully, the kind of person who loved with her whole heart, but kept those feelings tucked safely inside. To the world, she was just another face in the city, quiet, reliable, always smiling. But inside Emma lived a storm of emotions she had never learned how to voice. For years, she had been the listener, the supporter, the one who stayed. And in that silence, in that waiting, Emma became someone who loved without being seen. The rain fell quietly over the city, soft and relentless, like it was washing away the world, but leaving her alone. Emma walked slowly down the empty street, her coat wrapped tightly around her, umbrella dripping. She didn't want anyone to see her. Not now. Not tonight. She paused under a flickering streetlight, glancing down at her phone. Liam's name glowed on the screen. She wanted to reach out, to tell him everything she'd held inside for years. But she didn't. She never did. Every message she typed, she deleted. Every confession she rehearsed in her mind was swallowed by fear. In her head, memories played like old film reels. She remembered the way he laughed when she told a silly joke, the way he'd help her carry her books, the way his eyes seemed to light up without even knowing it. They had been inseparable, always together in small, quiet moments. And yet, she had never dared to tell him the truth, that she loved him. She told herself that loving him quietly was safer, that staying silent would protect him. But as she approached Liam's apartment building that night, she realized the truth. It had only protected her pride. She stopped. There he was, through the window, laughing with someone else, a girl she had never seen before. Her chest tightened, and the cold rain seemed to sink into her bones. She felt the weight of every word unsaid, every moment she had waited too long. Emma turned and walked away, faceless, but every step heavy with the ache of regret. She had loved him quietly, and that's how she lost him. And yet, something in her whispered that the story was not over. Would you have stayed silent if it meant losing the person you love most? Comment yes or no, and watch closely, because Emma's story is just beginning. Emma walked home that night under the soft glow of streetlights, the city around her quiet except for the occasional honk or the patter of rain on the pavement. Her umbrella was useless. Her hair was damp, sticking to her face, and her coat clung to her shoulders. But she barely noticed. Her mind was elsewhere, stuck in a loop of memories, regrets, and what-ifs. She remembered the first time she realized she loved him. It wasn't dramatic or sudden. It was in small moments, the way Liam would pause to help someone on the sidewalk, the way he remembered every tiny detail she mentioned in passing, the way his laugh could fill a room and make her heart ache with a longing she couldn't explain. Back then, she had thought it was friendship, but over time, she realized the truth. She had loved him quietly for years, silently, from the shadows. She told herself it was better this way. If she confessed, she risked everything. So she held it in. She smiled, laughed, and pretended everything was normal, while her heart quietly cracked every day he smiled at someone else. Even now, she could picture him, sitting across from her at the cafe last week, telling a story about a girl he liked, oblivious to her presence. She had forced a smile, laughed at his jokes, even nodded when he asked if she thought they'd make a good couple. But inside, a storm raged. Emma's solitude had become a constant companion. Her friends asked why she never dated, why she seemed so distant. But she simply said, "I'm busy," busy hiding the most important thing she had ever felt. And yet, life had its cruel sense of timing. Liam had begun seeing someone else. Sarah, a bright, cheerful girl who seemed to fit naturally into his life. Emma noticed the little things. The way he texted her first thing in the morning, the way his smile changed when he spoke to her, the way he didn't notice Emma at all in those moments. She wanted to speak up. She wanted to tell him everything. But fear held her in place. Fear of rejection. Fear of losing a friendship they had built over years. Fear that even a confession might change nothing. So she remained silent, hiding in plain sight, watching the life she had imagined for herself slip through her fingers. Every day became a quiet battle, forcing herself to be happy for him, to smile when he told her about Sarah, to celebrate his victories while silently mourning her own heart. She carried the weight of her unspoken words like stones in her chest, heavier with each passing day. One rainy evening, as she walked past the park where they used to sit for hours talking about dreams and nothing at all, she felt a pang she could no longer ignore. The memory of their laughter, their late-night conversations, the shared silence between them, it all hit her at once. She had loved him quietly, but she had also allowed herself to lose him slowly. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Liam. "Hey, want to grab coffee tomorrow?" Her chest tightened. She wanted to say yes. She wanted to tell him everything, but she didn't. Instead, she typed a quick reply, "Sure. See you then," and deleted the rest of the words she had rehearsed for hours, words that might have changed everything. That night, she sat by her window, staring out the rain, thinking about all the small ways she had let love slip quietly through her fingers. And she made a promise to herself. She wouldn't speak tonight. Not yet. She would continue to love him quietly, no matter how painful it was, because speaking up felt too dangerous, and staying silent felt safe. And yet, deep down, Emma knew that quiet love has a price, and she was only beginning to understand just how high that price could be. Have you ever loved someone quietly, wondering if they'd ever notice? If these stories relate to you, comment and share. Someone somewhere might need it. The morning was quiet, almost cruel in its stillness. Emma sat at her kitchen table, coffee growing cold, phone in hand. The city outside was alive, but she felt invisible. Every text, every message from Liam these past weeks had carried the weight of normalcy, but she knew deep down things had shifted. She should have seen it coming. The small details, the way his laughter had changed, the way he seemed to look past her sometimes, distracted by someone else. But denial had been her companion for too long. She had built walls around her heart, and now they were crumbling. Then the message arrived. "Emma, I need to tell you something. I think I found someone. Someone I really love." Her hands trembled. She read the words over and over, as if repeating them would make them less real. But the truth hit her like the first icy drop of winter rain, sharp, cold, and inescapable. Liam had fallen for someone else. She remembered every silent confession she had buried, every word she had rehearsed and deleted, every time she had smiled while her heart quietly broke. And now, the person she had loved quietly for so long was walking toward a future that did not include her. Emma's mind drifted to memories of them together, late-night talks, stolen glances, laughter in the park. Every moment she had cherished, she had assumed was a bridge between them, but it had been a one-sided path, invisible to him. She closed her eyes and felt the tears coming hot and unstoppable. Not just for him, but for herself, for all the words she would never speak, for all the chances she had let slip away. She had loved quietly, but that quiet love had cost her everything. The rain outside began to fall harder, drumming against the window like a chorus of grief. She wrapped herself in a blanket, curling into a ball on the couch, and let the heartbreak wash over her. She imagined walking past him on the street, seeing him laugh with the girl he loved, and realizing that she was invisible in his world, that she had always been invisible, despite the love that had filled her heart to the brim. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from Liam. "I hope we can still be friends." Emma's fingers hovered over the screen, and for a moment, she almost replied. Almost said something, anything, but she didn't. She had no words left that would matter anymore. Silence had been her choice, and silence was now her punishment. And in that quiet, empty apartment, she understood something she had avoided for years. Loving someone quietly wasn't noble. It wasn't safe. It wasn't fair to herself. It was simply lonely. Have you ever loved someone so quietly that by the time you spoke, it was too late? Emma's story doesn't end here. Stay with her, because the hardest lessons in love are the ones we learn the most painfully. The mornings began differently for Emma now. The world outside still moved on in its chaotic rhythm, but inside, she felt lighter, not completely healed, not yet, but she was beginning to breathe again. She started small, a walk in the park, the same park where she had spent countless afternoons with Liam, remembering moments that had once felt like home. The bench where they laughed, the coffee shop where she had shared so many quiet conversations. It all still existed, but it no longer ached in the same way. Emma had realized that loving someone quietly had cost her, yes, but losing him had given her something else. Herself. She was no longer afraid of her own feelings, no longer hiding in the shadows. She began to write again, to paint, to let her voice be heard, even if only by herself. Then one evening, she saw Liam across the street, laughing with friends, his eyes scanning the crowd, and for the first time in months, they met hers. There was a flicker there, recognition, hesitation, something unspoken. Emma's heart skipped, but she did not run toward him. She did not call out. She simply held her gaze, feeling the warmth of her own strength. She had loved him quietly, yes, but she had learned that love did not mean losing herself. In the days that followed, small messages began arriving. Liam's tone was different now, hesitant, uncertain. He asked how she was, what she had been up to, seemingly casual. But Emma knew he was seeing the cracks in his own heart, the realization of what he had ignored for so long. She did not reply immediately. She let him wait, let the silence speak, let the balance of power shift just enough that she could reclaim her narrative. And then one evening, he showed up at the park, standing at a distance, unsure, watching her. No words were spoken, no confessions yet. But in that moment, something shifted. Liam understood the weight of Emma's love, the patience, the silent devotion he had failed to notice. Emma smiled softly, turning back to the sunset over the city. She had grown. She had survived heartbreak. She had discovered that sometimes love is not about possession, but about patience, courage, and finding your own strength. And yet, the story held a twist, an unspoken tension. Liam now saw her differently, not as the girl who silently waited, but as a woman who had learned her worth. And the question lingered, hanging between them like the last golden rays of sun. Could he ever be the one who deserved her? Have you ever realized someone didn't notice your love until it was almost too late? Watch closely. Emma's story is coming to its emotional conclusion, and the lesson she learned might just change the way you see love. The city was quiet again, but this time, Emma didn't feel the weight of loneliness pressing down on her chest. She walked to the park one last time, the golden sunset bathing the world in soft light. Her steps were calm, measured, full of purpose. Liam was there, as even the past few days, hesitant, unsure, watching from a distance. But Emma no longer felt the aching emptiness she once had. She had learned something far more valuable than being loved in return. She had learned to love herself. She paused on a familiar bench, the one where countless conversations and silent moments had passed. She let herself look at the world around her, the soft breeze, the warm glow of the sun, the laughter of strangers, and for the first time in years, she felt whole. Liam approached slowly, and though she could feel his gaze, she didn't turn to meet it right away. She stayed present with herself, letting the moment unfold naturally. When she finally looked up, their eyes met. There was a hint of regret in his expression, a recognition of everything he had overlooked. But Emma smiled, not with longing, not with sorrow, but with quiet confidence. I loved you quietly, she thought to herself. I waited, I hoped, I sacrificed. But now I see that love is not about waiting for someone else to see your heart. Love is about being brave enough to live fully, whether they notice or not. Liam took a step closer, unsure. He opened his mouth to speak, but Emma shook her head gently, a soft, knowing smile on her lips. She didn't need words. This was no longer about him. This was about her. She turned, walking toward the sunlit path, leaving Liam behind, not out of anger, but out of strength. She had survived heartbreak, found herself, and discovered that the quietest love could be the most powerful teacher. And in the distance, Liam watched, realizing the depth of what he had lost. But Emma no longer needed him to complete her. She was enough. She always had been. Sometimes the hardest love to bear is the one we never speak of. But in loving quietly, we learn courage, patience, and the value of our own hearts. If Emma's story touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because love, even when silent, is a story worth telling.